And we're back. And I have this. Oh, I'm not as close to the wall as I thought I was. And we're back. And I read so many freaking X-Men comics. And what the hell is going on? Without further ado, let's talk comics. So I, and everyone else who cares about X-Men, have been reading the House of X and Powers of X run of the X-Men. It's Hickman's new take on what's going on with the X-Men, and he has turned everything that you think you know about mutants and mutant kind on its head. And this week, X-Men #1 came out. That's the first run after House of X and Powers of X, which set up this whole new storyline. Stay with me, it's a little complicated. And I went in and I picked up X-Men #1 this week at Floating World Comics, located at 400 Northwest Cooch Street. Go see them, tell them I said hi. They're so nice. They'll help you find something that you're not reading, but you should be. And I got these little playing cards because it's $19.95. No, I thought it was pretty cool. I don't know if I should open these or not because I'm a bad collector. Excuse me. Like, I bought 2 different covers of this because I liked them both, but I don't like sell them or anything. Advise, help. Anyway, pretty cool. And I really enjoyed X-Men #1. Let me tell you about what I didn't really care about in X-Men #1. I don't really care about Scott Summers' home life. I don't really care that he's just like chilling with, I always call her Miss Marvel, but that's not her name, Marvel Girl, I'm sorry, Jean Grey. I don't care that they're like in a little familial pod with like his brothers and stuff like that. Like, who cares? I only like Scott Summers when he's banging Emma Frost because he's breaking all the rules. And friend of the show, Leroy, over at News 19 Nerds. If you're not following them, you should follow them. I'll put a little link somewhere in the description for sure. He calls her a homewrecker, Emma a homewrecker, but listen, she has taste and she has style. And it's not her fault that Scott was bored with Marvel Girl. I would be too.
Voilà l'ombre sur la route, l'infime petite goutte qui fait déborder le vaste. Ta vie en entonnoir, mais pourquoi? Pourquoi maintenant?
And that brings me to my next point. Emma Frost is going to play a big role, I think, in these upcoming comics, which is so exciting for me because she's like my favorite X-Men character, tied with the Maximoff twins. Now, in House of X and Powers of X, they sort of bring Emma in because they need her company, the Hellfire Company, and also, you know, to help them run Krakoa because they're creating a council, because they're creating this, what is essentially a new country, but also more than that. Like, it's this whole island where mutants can go and they have sovereignty from humankind and they don't bend to humankind's rules. And in exchange, humankind will get these pharmaceuticals that will cure them of everything from Alzheimer's and ALS to cancer. And so, you know, that's because Xavier and Magneto have gotten together and they're all about this idea of making mutants thrive, not only just survive, which is often what Professor X is trying to do, and not just what Magneto's trying to do usually too, which is, you know, exert his power as a mutant over humans. It's sort of a combination of both things, and they're all being kind of puppeted by Moira McTaggart / Ken Ross. So that's pretty interesting. But we didn't get to see too many characters in this X-Men 1 from House of X and Powers of X. We saw a lot of the Summers family. We saw a little bit of Storm, and they saved a bunch of mutants from the scientists, the human scientists who are trying to stop the inevitability of mutants taking over or whatever. It's very confusing. You have the mutants, you have the humans, and you have the robots, and the humans who are human robot things, androidish things, all against one another. And they all have different amounts of information in different places, all to try and save themselves, but everybody wants everybody else's information. It's all really interesting. Now, a couple of things from House of X and Powers of X. I thought it was so cool that these 2 series ran concurrently and there was an order that you were supposed to read them in. I thought that was really novel and it really kept me engaged in the story. I also thought, even though he was only in there for a second, Namor, I think he was written so well, he was hysterical. He is like the perfect kind of like self-absorbed that's like funny and like a little endearing. I know a lot of people find him so irritating, but like nobody to me is more irritating than Mr. Sinister. I think Namor is like the good kind of annoying and like self-serving. Anyway, he doesn't want to play ball with Xavier and Magneto, and I don't blame him. My other question is, We got to see Polaris, and she was also in this X-Men #1. She was in House of X and Powers of X as well. And so that's cool. She's cool. She's the lesser known daughter of Magneto. She also has magnet powers. They're green. But where are his other kids? Where are Pierto and Wanda? And so we do hear about Wanda. It is canon in these stories that M-Day did happen. So, you know, I guess if you don't know, I'm sure you do if you're watching this, like, you know, Wanda had a mental breakdown and said no more mutants, and a lot of mutants were depowered. Wanda down. And so in these stories, a lot of mutants are still depowered. And so what are they gonna do to fix that? They're trying to figure that out right now. They have figured out how to bring mutants back from the dead, essentially, by creating their bodies again. And then Professor X puts their brain inside their body. It's all very complicated stuff, but really interesting because that is helping them grow their numbers and thrive. Because when they lose someone, they can bring them back. And so they're looking to bring back all of their fallen people from Genosha and also from this depowering situation. So did Pierto not get the crystals from New Adelan and like run around and fix things like he did in his like solo story? I don't know. It's all very confusing. Cable is a child. Hope is there. Rachel is also there in the Summers family. I have questions about, like, are they able to procreate on this island, or are they just focusing on trying to bring their old mutants back? And the reality is, I have lots of questions. But this X-Men #1 did such a good job of sort of recapping all the things that you read in House of X and Powers of X and making it really approachable for you. Because they were complicated comics, because it's a lot of world building. It's world building like economically and it's world building like economically, ideologically, and sort of like new religion-y, and it was all just, it was a lot. So my projections for the future, more Emma. Wanda and Pierto will show up at some point, God willing. And then I don't like Moira. I think something is going on with Moira, and I'm interested to know what. So there is a rumor I read online that there's gonna be like a side Moira comic, which is pretty interesting because she's lived a lot of lives. We haven't got to see all of them, but I think she's up to no good. We got to read a little bit of her journal, and she's talking about sort of manipulating Eric and Xavier, and I don't trust her. And she doesn't like Emma because she thinks Emma's up to something. No, I don't trust her. And I also think there's something going on in House of X or Powers of X, I don't remember which one. They mentioned Reed Richards and Sue Storm's kid is a mutant. And so there are mutants out there who live with their non-mutant families, and are they gonna start recruiting those people, or are they gonna let them come willingly? There are a lot of questions left out in the air, but my biggest concern is now that House of X and Powers of X were over, we knew what we were getting into with these two, it was kind of back and forth a little bit. This X-Men #1 came out, and then a different series is gonna come out with a #1 that you're supposed to read next, and then a different series after that. And so how many series am I supposed to keep up with? Like, I'm tired, and I work a lot, and I don't know if I have enough time to deal with that. So I'm concerned. X-Men are my favorite Marvel franchise, and I really love this reboot. I think it's so interesting and so immersive, and I'm really excited, but like, how many comic series am I gonna have to pick up and follow? I don't know if I have it in me. Maybe you have it in you. Are you also concerned about the amount of series that you're gonna have to keep up with? Or is it just me? What are your projections for the future? What did you think of House of X and Powers of X? What did you think about that reading style, back and forth kind of thing? What do you think about the characters involved? What do you think about this whole bringing X-Men back from the dead, kind of, but also cloning them, kind of, also making them weird egg babies? I have a lot of thoughts. But I'm really interested in what the future holds. I'm really enjoying this. To be honest, it's like the only comics I've been reading right now. I feel like it has like consumed my life, which I'm totally okay with, don't get me wrong. But like, I'm not so okay with it that I'm gonna read like 16 different series just to get like one storyline. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know who you think the actual villain in this game is here, because it remains sort of unclear. Who's really after what information from who. We have a lot of players here. We have the mutants. We have, in the future, the robots, the Nimrods, the people beyond Nimrods, the sort of all-knowing robot beings. And then we also have the humans. And everybody's trying to go at everybody. And everybody's a threat to everybody else. But who's the bad guy in these sort of scenarios? I'm not exactly sure. But I'm interested to find out. And I'm interested to know what you think about it. And also, it is spooky season. It's Wednesday. Spooky season. Get it? Okay. So the next video that I will be doing where I'm reviewing comics will be a few spooky comics. So if you have any suggestions, drop them in the comments down below. That's really all I have for you guys this week. It was just Mutant-a-palooza. I needed to know what the hell was going on. So I feel a little cathartic after that. Thank you so much for chatting with me about mutant stuff. And I will see you guys next week, same-ish time, same place. And until then, this has been KGW's Comic Pick of the Week. Here I am in much worse lighting and probably much worse audio quality, which is fine. Let's do a little tour of the wall, eh? So here are some, oops, let me, there we go, like I've used a camera before. Here's some prints. This is a cool thing my dad sent me. He used to own a comic book shop back before I was born. And this is, you know, the story about how Wolverine came to be Wolverine. That poster's older than me. This is also older than me. It's from 1988. It's the Daily Planet, Earth to Invaders, Drop Dead. Here's my lovely Wonder Woman poster. Ask me about my feminist agenda. Oh yeah, I forgot this little board. Let's Talk Comics, kgw.com/comics. I'm drinking that, it's okay. Here's a cool thing. My dad sent me a copy of The Dark Knight, and when you open it up, it's, oops, not there. There, it's signed. Which is pretty dang cool. Some books I enjoyed. Here's original marketing from The Killing Joke. A little Sandman. Hello. A little Death. She cute. And this is Omaha the Cat Dancer, which is a statue my dad had in his office for a long time that I always loved. He sent it to me, which was nice. All of this nerd stuff. Just a nerd empire.